We are staying with the story of the interactive session with journalists, influencers, and public analysts on the new tax acts, hosted by the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms in Lagos on Friday, October 3rd, 2025. So far, we have come your way twice on the story. The immediate past episode having been devoted to setting the record straight with regard to the provisions relating to personal income tax in the new tax act. On this episode, Mr. Oyedele continues the clarification on VAT, tax harmonization, and tax ID. Come along.
Value-added tax is a very popular tax that we all know about. But what is it that these new tax laws will bring for value-added tax? Number one, these new laws from January 2026 will turn most of our basic consumption like food, like education, like healthcare, from exempt to zero rated. And this is something I always have to explain, because if you are not a tax expert, this means nothing to you. In fact, it looks like government is just being deceptive. But let me explain it to you. If a bottle of water is exempt from VAT, it means when you are selling the water, do not charge value-added tax. But you, the producer of the water, you may have spent and incurred VAT in producing the water. You have a factory, you have equipment, you bought them and paid VAT. You have the plastic in which you put the water. It's liable to VAT. There's the label. You paid for it with VAT. You also have vehicles that you bought to distribute the water. It has VAT. You have laptops. You have mobile phones. Both the phone and the airtime carry VAT. And so on and so forth. Because your water that you are selling is VAT exempt, government says don't charge VAT when you are selling the water. But if you have incurred VAT in producing the water, it is your business to deal with it. Guess what the business person will do? He will sit down and do his calculation very well. Add the cost of VAT that he has incurred as part of cost of producing the water. You know, that's the common sense thing to do. He will then add his own margin, and that will become the selling price. When you buy the bottle of water, you don't see VAT, but there's a hidden VAT in the cost. On the other hand, if water is zero rated, it means when you are selling the water, put VAT at 0%. You know, it still means that there's no VAT, right? But the good news, any VAT that the producer of that water has incurred in producing the water will be refunded 100% by the government. This time around, when that producer is calculating his costs of producing water, he does not need to add VAT anymore. His cost of production comes down, and the price at which he sells can come down, even making the same profit margin. The same thing under these new tax laws. Businesses will be given refund for VAT they incur on assets that they use for their businesses, on services and overhead that they paid for. In Nigeria today, if you are into professional services, consulting, you are totally on your own. You can't get VAT back under this new tax law, including those of you that are from the media. If you are in the media, you never claim input VAT before because the law did not allow it. Good news, from January next year, you can claim input VAT back. That's money in your pocket. If you are not aware, talk to your accountant, because you can easily get to January next year and still not claim anything. It will not be the fault of the new law. It will be because you've not taken the right steps. In addition to that, I told you that small businesses are also exempted from charging VAT. If your annual turnover is 100 million or less, we just want you to live your life and grow. Don't worry about charging VAT. Don't worry about deducting withholding tax, and your corporate income tax rate is 0%. Good news. Imagine these our millions and millions of small businesses are able to thrive. If each one of them can even just hire one more person, do you know what that means for unemployment numbers? Do you know what it means for growth? So it makes sense to allow our small businesses thrive.
Mr. Edele proceeded to talk about the provisions in the new Tax Act relating to harmonization, which, as you presently find, is aimed at rescuing taxpayers from undue burden and its compliance.
Okay, so I'll move on to the next one, which is tax harmonization. Okay, on tax harmonization, we've seen all manner of things, especially on social media. Some people came and said, under this new tax law, only the Nigerian Revenue Service will collect all taxes in Nigeria, even for states. States, they've lost their autonomy. Fiscal federalism is gone. This is a banana republic federation. All manners of narratives. We don't know where they got it from, because even we are confused. In the law, there's a Nigerian Tax Administration Act. You go to section 3, it tells you about jurisdiction. And it says the Nigerian Revenue Service shall collect the following taxes. State Internal Revenue Service, collect these taxes. So these new laws have not tampered with the powers of states to collect their own taxes. What these new laws have done is to say federal government should not have 50 agencies collecting taxes and levies. A state, Lagos State, Ekiti, Kano, Kebbi, Kogi State, should not have 15 agencies trying to collect taxes. Everyone, federal government, have one agency collecting your taxes. States, have one agency collecting your taxes. So that Nigerian Revenue Service will then collaborate with the internal revenue services in all the 36 states and FCT to form a whole for Nigeria, where, for example, if you live and work in Lagos State and you pay your taxes here, but you are from Ekiti State and you want to go and buy land, you know what happens today? They collect another money from you in Ekiti, give you another tax clearance certificate, because they don't care about the tax you paid elsewhere. That's not supposed to be the case. In Nigeria, our federation and the principle on which it was established recognizes your right to live and work anywhere. And it should not be a crime for you. Should you want to do something in another state, the taxes you've paid in Lagos should count when there is harmonization. It would also help the government to fight evasion. I've seen people who, if you hold them in Lagos, they say, no, actually, don't you see that I do most of my work from the FCT? That's where I'm normally resident. When they go to FCT will say, pay tax. They say, no, I don't know, my family is in Lagos. It's Lagos State where I pay taxes. And those two tax authorities have no way of confirming. People import goods today and significantly under-declare. It seems like the default declaration in Nigeria is 10% of the value. Something that is $1,000, they'll declare it at $100, so they don't pay import duties. They'll go to FRS and go and declare that item at $1,000 or even more, so they can claim more deductions. And the customs service and the FRS system are not talking to each other. In any country where you allow evasion, people don't understand it. When it comes to tax evasion, it's not a question of raising revenue. Of course, we don't mind if we raise revenue. But there's a more fundamental problem with when you allow evasion to persist. What you're doing is that your honest taxpayers, your patriotic citizens are being disadvantaged. You and I are doing the same business. You are the honest person who wants to do your best for your country to be great. You pay your taxes. I'm the guy who says, what is government doing for me? I evade everything I can evade. Anytime they show up, I pay a bribe so they can go away. I, the dishonest citizen, have an advantage over you because I have more money to throw around. In fact, if I don't like your face, I can price you out of that market. No country grows like that. For our collective interests, if we agree that a tax has to be paid, we must put in all our effort to ensure everybody in that bracket pays the tax. Nobody should have to live above the law. Nobody should have to break the law without consequences. So as part of this tax harmonization as well, we are also rationalizing the tax administration. Many of the processes that businesses have to go through just to file returns are being eliminated. For example, if you buy an asset, from buying a car to a plant to a building, before you can even claim tax deduction for it, you need to go to a government agency that will give you a certificate. They will come and visit you, inspect, ask you to pay for flight, accommodation, just to confirm that you bought an asset. We've removed that because it's an unnecessary headache. When you buy an asset, it's simple. We call it third-party validation. Since you didn't produce the asset yourself, somebody must have sold it to you. If the person that sold the asset to you is on the system, and you that you bought the asset is on the system, we just see whether the two numbers correspond. And if both of you are lying and it's equal and opposite, government is fine. If one of you is lying, or both of you are lying and it's not the same, the system will flag it. Why go through this rigorous, painful, costly process just for people to do business? Those provisions and similar others have now been removed. What if I tell you that under this our current system, before January next year, if you undertake any transaction in foreign currency, like you pay for Zoom, or you buy something online, or a software, you have to pay in foreign currency because those guys don't spend naira. Our existing law says the tax on it, VAT, the tax on it, withholding tax, you must equally pay in foreign currency. So first you go to the forex market to go and look for $1,000 so you can pay the software provider. When you are done, you go back to the market and look for another dollar to pay Nigerian government the tax. Unnecessary pressure on the naira by demanding avoidable dollars to pay Nigerian government. This new tax law says if you have taxes to pay it in naira. Naira is our currency. Let's build confidence in naira. And naira can be stronger, and naira can be stable. That benefits all of us.
Very well said. Mr. Oyedele also seized the opportunity to react to the rash of misinformation and the resultant panic surrounding the use of tax ID.
This tax ID, at a point, you would think that the whole tax reform law was on tax ID. They said from January, tax ID, they will block your account, bank account. They said government will take money from your account directly. In fact, some people say it's CBN that will just debit you. Someone said any inflow, they will tax it. So what is it about this tax ID? Let me tell you what it is. The tax ID is not a new ID to be obtained. It's not like there's one card that will carry tax ID that everybody now has to go and queue up, do biometric to be able to obtain. No. Before now, we use the nomenclature tax identification number, TIN. I'm sure almost all of you have TIN. That TIN is collected from multiple sources. For example, I have a TIN from Lagos State because I'm resident in Lagos State. I have another TIN from the Joint Tax Board. The FCT, Internal Revenue Service, said, this guy is always in Abuja. How about you also get a TIN? Now, just imagine I'm one person, but the system identifies me in 3 different ways. It's not helpful to me. It's not helpful to the system. So we now said, when we were writing these new tax laws, we said, why are we even insisting that people must go and collect tax identification number? Why can't we use any number that is unique to them as a proxy for their tax identification? So we did not use the word TIN. You will not find TIN. You will not find TIN in the new tax laws. We use a proxy that we call tax identification shortened to tax ID, to represent anything that is unique to you. Our objective is we get to a point where, as an individual, we just use your NIN. Your NIN is unique to you and is linked to so many things. For companies, just go to their CAC registration number or business name. It's a unique number. It can serve as their tax ID. So that very soon we get to a point where me, Taiwo Yedele, I'm identified uniquely in the system, and wherever I go, that number goes with me and it serves all purposes. In many countries today, you get your social security number. That's what they use for everything, including tax. Even Ghana, our friends, brothers and sisters, or brothers and sisters, they have a Ghana card. This card is what they're now using for tax and everything. You get that card, it serves all purposes. Why in Nigeria always doing BVN, NIN, tax ID, voter card, driver's card? We are confusing ourselves. And people don't know the power of credible data. It just helps you to plan your economy better. You can know who is poor, who needs help, who is vulnerable, who is not vulnerable. Even for security, if you have credit, somebody was saying that if you go to Dubai and go and commit any crime, within 30 minutes they'll show up because you just know where you are. They know what you are doing. Their data is so reliable. You just put in your passport like this, it opens gate for you. You don't even have to be a citizen. Data is powerful. And the world we live in today, no country can compete without credible sources of data. So this tax ID is a nomenclature that is meant to represent your identification for tax purposes. If you already have a TIN, you don't need to do anything, you are fine. If you don't have a TIN and you have a bank account and you're not using it for business, you're also fine, you don't need TIN, just operate your bank account. But if you have a bank account that you use for business, it just makes sense that if the account is for business, government is interested in what you're doing. Otherwise, we are creating an ecosystem where some people do business without paying tax, and some do business and they pay tax. That's not an equal level playing field. The other important news or information about this is, do you know that this is not even new? This provision to provide tax number, though at the time it was called tax identification number, was introduced by the Finance Act in 2019. And it took effect from 13th of January 2020, more than 5 years ago. It has been a requirement that if you use your bank account for business or to earn income, you must provide TIN. Interestingly, people that needed to provide the TIN, they have provided it. The people that are complaining about it are the people who either don't require the TIN or don't understand it. It is not a new requirement, so nothing to panic, nothing to worry about. But of course, if you are the person who is trying to evade all manner of taxes and hiding everything from everybody, then maybe you need to worry, because we need you to behave differently. The next one is informal sector. I've already explained a number of points around the informal sector, including the fact that we've designed the system to encourage formalization by reducing your tax burden, but also is to ensure that the informal sector, even beyond those who register companies with the government, have some sort of relief. Like the president said, let the poor breathe. So we have more than 20 taxes. If you add the unofficial ones, more than 50 taxes that small businesses are supposed to pay. How are they supposed to cope? So we're working now. This is not something we have finalized. We're still working on it. Like I said to you, we do not have the powers to enact a law to just harmonize all taxes across Nigeria. But we're working with the subnational on a new presumptive tax framework whereby the smallest of businesses, classified as nano businesses, and these are the vast majority, like 90-something%, will be completely exempted from paying income tax. In fact, we are hoping that we can get to a point where we give them a tax exemption sticker so nobody will bother them. And those businesses, we actually made a list. I was giving you some examples earlier on, because there are some businesses where you know the person is not rich and they cannot be rich by reason of that business. You don't need to audit them to know. Somebody is selling pomo. The whole pomo, the capital plus profits is on their head and they're walking around. They can't be rich by selling that pomo. Maybe the only hope they have is maybe they can send one or two of their children to school, and in future they can take care of them. That pomo cannot survive anything. It's just to find 300 naira, 500 naira to buy gari and granite to eat. If the person is a vulcanizer, they're not rich. If they are pushing wheelbarrow, they're not rich persons. Don't audit them. There's no need to audit. Yes? So those kind of businesses are listed. And this is again where we need our stakeholders and their cooperation for these things to succeed. Because that's when the Nigerian people will feel the real relief and benefit from these reforms.
Soccer is coming the way of small business owners. We do hope that you're better informed and more at ease with the Tax Reform Acts and the commendable effort of the Tinubu government to modernize the Nigerian tax system. The story of these engagements with stakeholders and the general public continues.